Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America.
What country did they declare war on first? Why? The U.S. declared war on Japan first after the Pearl Harbor attack.
Help! Help!
What happened?
The Japanese came by December 7th, 1941, approximately 7:55 a.m.
Who started the war?
Japan bombed us.
Where?
Pearl Harbor.
No.
And after that, we cleared water on them.
What differences were there between the war in the Pacific and the war in Europe? The war in Europe was a fight against National Socialism, the Nazis, and the Pacific War was a fight for countries such as Australia and the U.S. to defend land from being taken over by Japan. The war in the Pacific between Japan and the U.S. were being fought overseas and with suicide pilots and kamikaze pilots. The war in Europe was fought on land or over land, and much more brutal in the Pacific as the Japanese took the Americans as prisoners and treated them very badly. The war in the Pacific ended very brutally when the Americans could not face the Japanese troops and attacked two areas, throwing one atomic bomb on each area. Thousands died, most civilians. The war in Europe, mostly troops and end war not as brutally.
Why was the U.S. so hesitant to get involved in the war prior to Pearl Harbor? We were practicing isolationism, and most of our citizens were, but the government and Roosevelt wanted to get into war. Adolf Hitler declared war on the U.S. a few days after Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The U.S. wanted to get in the war for economic reasons. But when Pearl Harbor was attacked and the U.S. declared war on Japan, then Germany and Italy declared war on us.
What was the impact of the U.S. entering World War II? World War II gave jobs to thousands, if not millions, of people in the U.S. Soldiers were paid and some sent money home. Men too old in the army replaced the men that were at war, and women worked in factories to build airplane ships, tanks, and many more. This was a good chance to boost up economy. If you did not have a job, being a soldier way was to go. That was the way to go.
Combining both fronts, how many U.S. servicemen were killed? Approximately 100,000 Pacific, 100,000 air war, and 100,000 land war, including Africa. As is typical, there are multiple amounts cited. According to the Oxford Company to Military History, casualties were as follows.